Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hey everyone, this is James Healy. Welcome back. Today I am speaking with André Viel of the New Hope Addiction Recovery Center, and we are talking about his new book, which is coming out, or has maybe come out by the time you hear this. It's called The Recovery Lifestyle: How to Leave Addiction Behind, Get Excited About Life, and Become the Person You Deserve to Be. Now, if you have not been living under a rock, you've probably heard about the impact that addiction and those addicted around the world really has been having on our culture. And we're so excited to have André here to tell us about his book and how he's helping his clients. So André, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, James.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about first of all, let's talk about your book, because it's really cool. And I've been able to delve into it a little bit here. And tell us how the book is helping folks find this lifestyle that you talk about, how important it is for them to figure this out.
Yes, the lifestyle to me is the one of the biggest factors in recovery. Is creating the right recovery lifestyle, and then recovery lifestyle is different for everybody. My recovery lifestyle is different from your recovery lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So this book will help people if they go through the book step by step, how to create a healthy recovery lifestyle that could help them maintain their goal, whether it's sobriety or harm management or whatever that is. It will help them attain that goal. And that's not only for people that are in recovery, it's also for the families, because it's very important for the family to create a recovery lifestyle in order for them to take their life back into their hands, and have a healthy family system in order to support that person that's going through recovery. So it's a book that will help both the person in recovery and also the family that we so often forget about.
That's a really important point you brought up there, is how this is not just about the person in recovery, which is where our focus tends to lie most of the time, but it's also on the family, mm-hmm. right? And the thing I got out of this, looking at the book and reading through it, the most important thing I see is that it's all about creating a new life that you are happy with, right? It's like this, like you say, it's a whole new lifestyle that's moving you towards something that you're excited about, and moving away from something that is extremely detrimental for most people, correct? That's right.
In life in general, perception is very important, right? Mm-hmm. So if you perceive, when you come out of addiction, if you perceive this as a new opportunity to recreate yourself, to find yourself and be the person you want to be, it makes life so much more beautiful. It's an opportunity that you now have to become the person you want to be. And in order to do that, it's important to create that lifestyle that will allow you to be that person and to surround yourself with the people that you want,
Yeah, so true. Yeah, it's an opportunity to hit the reset button.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Things are stuck and I just need to hit reset.
That's right. And reset is very important. If you go through rehab or whatever the modality you use to get out of addiction, and then you go back to the same lifestyle you had, it's counterproductive. It's just like somebody that has type 2 diabetes that's no longer on insulin, and all of a sudden decide, I'll just go back to eating fried foods and cake and dessert and so on, and hope that it doesn't come back. So right. Once you create that healthy lifestyle, it's important to stick to it.
Right. Now, you touched on when someone comes out of rehab, do you see this book being an important piece for someone who went to maybe a traditional rehab and now they might be looking for some support or some ideas on how to take that experience and move further into this recovery lifestyle?
Yes, that was my idea behind creating this book, is to give some resources to people when they come out of rehab. Because when you come out of rehab, often you feel alone. You're starting this new life, and then there's no instruction book. Well, I just created one, so it's kind of a step-by-step program to help you create that lifestyle needed. But it's also an amazing book for the families while their loved one is in rehab. If they go through this book step by step, it will allow them to regain their life and also understand what codependency is, what enabling is, what addiction is, and make it easier for them once their loved one gets out of rehab. Because often when somebody goes to rehab, if the family doesn't do any work on themselves, unfortunately, often one of the family members ends up bringing that person back down into addiction unconsciously without wanting to. It's just they lost a sense of self because they might have been the enabler trying to help that person all the time. And now they don't have that no more. So what do they do with their time? So creating their own recovery lifestyle is very important in order not to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things. We don't really have time to go into all the different steps and things you cover in creating this lifestyle. But I see that so many of these are going to be beneficial, like you say, not just for the person in recovery, but for the family. I mean, you have, finding your passion and a lot of self-care and nutrition tips and all kinds of different things that, anyone can benefit from, correct?
That's right. There are 16 steps, and they're all covered in this book on all these steps to help you create that lifestyle. And also, the book is a starting point. If they need extra help, I've also created an online group coaching program that goes along with the book. So there's a 5-week one for the families, and there's an 8-week one for the person in recovery. So there's a step up to that book.
Right. Now, all of these steps, I think I understand that they're not going to resonate with every person, right? Like there's going to be certain levels that someone doesn't have to follow each step to the T. They might find some that would resonate more with their personality, like meditation. You cover that, and you give some great tips and examples on how to incorporate meditation. And that takes practice, right?
It does. Yep. And yes, if not every step will resonate with everybody, and that's why I'm saying that a recovery lifestyle is very individualized. You can't put everybody in the same box because everybody's recovery is different. So that's why it's important that you follow the steps that work for you, and you could modify some things. Like if somebody doesn't want to do meditation or doesn't like meditation, they could do prayer. They could do adult coloring books. They could do yoga. There's many other activities that allows you to be in the moment and be with yourself.
Right. And I think I see that's where someone like yourself as a coach would be able to help someone customize this kind of plan, right? They'd be able to pick and choose from all the different options, and you help direct.
Yeah, for sure. But I always recommend to go into anything with an open mind, because if you look at where you're at when you come out of rehab, you have to think, okay, the things I've been doing, how have they been working for me? Obviously, there's some change needed if you're just getting out of rehab. Your lifestyle brought you to rehab, So in order to change your life, you have to be open to trying new things. Now, it doesn't mean you have to stick with it, but at least if you have an open mind to trying it, you might be surprised. The first time I meditated, I had been saying for 2 or 3 years that I can't meditate. I want nothing to do with meditation. Now I teach it, Right. So you have to have an open mind and try it.
Right. And I know a big goal of yours by writing this book and having this available is that it's something that can be very affordable for people, right? Like traditionally, rehab programs or hiring therapists or counselors or coaches can often be a little too expensive for people to continue on after rehab.
Yeah.
So this book is a great way for them to find some support. That's really basically almost free,
Yes.
right?
I agree. And that's why I created several steps. Like the book is one step. So that's very affordable, for almost anybody could purchase a book and do some self work on themselves. And if somebody needs more support, or in from where I'm from, it's small rural communities. So people that go to rehab don't have access to aftercare because the rehab they went to is so far away, So this allows people to have that aftercare for 8 weeks. By joining the online group coaching program, so they have support for 8 weeks afterward at a reasonable price, So that's why there's step ups to the book. So there's a book, there's a group coaching program, and if somebody wants to go a little bit further, there's also some one-on-one coaching opportunities.
That's awesome. What are some of the most common pitfalls and mistakes you see? Folks who are trying to create a recovery lifestyle, falling into traps that might get them into relapse. And, I know that it can be a challenge for people. The relapse is often just a part of the journey.
That's right. Well, when it comes to relapse, first, I'll talk about relapse. It's all about perception, right? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, often we're conditioned in rehab or by society that relapse is normal. It's part of recovery and so on and so on. So we start thinking that we have to relapse, and yes, it can be part of recovery, but it doesn't have to be. And that's important for people to understand. It doesn't have to be, because that's for me personally, that's one of the hardest things, because I wasn't relapsing. I wasn't craving. And I was sitting with my therapist and saying, there's something wrong with me, What's wrong with me? I'm not relapsing. I'm not. So, so we have to take that mentality away of saying it's normal that we relapse. Mm-hmm. Now, we have to see the relapse, if it does happen, as a positive thing. If somebody relapses, it's an opportunity to learn. Okay, what happened? Why did you relapse? Let's play it out and let's learn from it. Because everything that you learned before you relapse, you don't lose it. You don't just forget that, So you're just building another step of resilience, and you keep moving forward. You can't dwell on it. You have to learn from it. That's one thing. And the second biggest mistake is people in recovery, often we strive and we focus on sobriety. Everybody says, okay, I'm going to put my energy. I want to be sober. I want to be sober. I want to be sober. I want to be sober.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the same mistake as somebody that says, I want to be healthier, or I want to lose weight, and they put all their energy on a diet. I'm going to diet. I'm going to do this diet. I'm going to do this diet. I'm going to do this diet. And what happens with diets? I don't know any diets that actually work. People go on a diet, then they crash. Go on a diet, then they crash. Go on a diet, then they crash. Does that remind you of anything? Yeah. Sobriety, relapse. Sobriety, relapse. Sobriety, relapse. And what's the secret to that? Well, if you look at in a health world, when somebody wants to lose weight or get healthy, we recommend to create a healthy lifestyle. You create a healthy lifestyle, and the weight loss and the health will be byproducts. They'll happen, right? Same thing in recovery. If your focus and energy is all going on, I want to be sober, you're not creating the lifestyle you need to be sober. So instead of focusing on, I want to be sober, it's better to focus on your recovery lifestyle, on creating a recovery lifestyle that will allow you to attain the goals that you want to attain. If that's sobriety, that will come. It's going to be a byproduct of it, So focus our energy on creating that recovery lifestyle, because we do need to devote a lot of energy and time to create that lifestyle,
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of what I got out of your book too is that you're creating successes within your lifestyle that help support the success of recovery, right? Like
Yeah.
your habits of gratitude, but also you had a chapter on your random acts of kindness, or um, a lot of the self-care and health and exercise and nutrition, and even finding new hobbies or doing
Yes.
something new. But a lot of that is like finding something that brings some joy and success into your world, and that can just be a bundled up piece of the whole recovery lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about retraining your brain,
Mm-hmm.
uh, going into addiction, we trained our brain to be an addiction, know how to be an addiction, And the
Right.
same goes with recovery. You have to retrain your brain and allow your brain to have those little wins and those good times and so on. So it could recognize that you don't need substance or any distractions in order to be happy and enjoy life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think, um, it's also about finding success, maybe financially or maybe in work. Is that right? Because you have a chapter on budgeting, right? Because I think a lot of people get really down a path of money mismanagement when they're in addiction, and
Yes.
and by helping, kind of fix that and clean that up, that's another way to feel successful, right?
Yes, yes. And that's all about retraining your brain again, because
Yeah.
in active addiction, it's all about instant gratification.
Yeah.
You want to feel good. You want to feel good now. You want something, you want it now. And budgeting is about having a goal and working towards it,
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to manage your money and put them into places that will be beneficial for you, that will help you grow and get to where you want to be. So yeah, budgeting, I think, is a very important part of creating your recovery lifestyle, because it's hard to accomplish anything in our society today if we don't have the funds to do it.
Right.
So it's really important, I think, and it's something that we lack. It's something that we don't really learn in rehab or anywhere else.
Yeah, or anywhere else. I was going to say, we didn't even get that in high school.
Yeah, really. So I think it's very important. We keep telling, and I remember being told, well, you need to budget better. Create a budget. You need to do this, but nobody showed me.
Right.
Like, how do you want me to do it? It's like telling a kid, tie your laces, and nobody's ever showed him. It's not going to happen. So that's kind of the concept of really showing people, and it's step by step to make things easier. The last thing I want is to overwhelm somebody. So this is a very gentle and comprehensive way to do it.
Yeah, no, I love that about this book, is that it touches on all these little pieces, like the budgeting, from everything from budgeting and nutrition to, good tips on how to start with meditation, because it's often so new for people, but can be a good thing. So that's great.
Yeah, and people often expect to be at the top of the ladder before even stepping on the first step, and that's what happens with meditation. People want to be experts at meditating on the first try, and it doesn't work that way. It's like going to the gym and trying to bench 300 pounds the first time you're there.
Yeah,
you have to work up to it and be patient with everything.
Yeah, it's incorporating it into your, like you say, your new lifestyle or your new daily or morning routine or whatever it is, and it can take a lot of time to change those habits and those routines, because we've built up others.
For sure.
Well, let's change tacks here a little bit and tell us a little bit about what inspired you to become a recovery coach. And I know you've opened your own treatment center there, and now you've written this book. You've been doing a lot of great work in this area. What led you down this path?
Well, first, I wanted a little correction there. The treatment center is not open yet. We're still,
Okay.
we're still working on getting funding and support from our provincial government. So we're waiting on answers, and then hopefully our provincial government is going to come forward and help us, so we could help people of our province. But that's where we're at with that. So we're still moving forward, still working hard at it, but it's not yet open. So it's coming along. Yeah, but what really inspired me to want to open that rehab and to open up my recovery coaching practice and so on is the lack of resources that we have in this province, in New Brunswick. I wanted to make sure that nobody else had to go through the hardships I went through when I was trying to find help, And my goal is to try to make this as accessible as possible to as many people I can. And unfortunately, it's a reality that not everybody could afford my coaching services. So by writing this book, it allows even more people to have access to my services and my knowledge and to have a guide on how to create their own recovery lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big part of it, because like I said, when I went through addiction myself and I was looking for help, it was nowhere to be found. So I want to prevent that.
And families as well, too. I mean, that's a big focus of what you're doing. And I know families are often struggling to look for answers to questions when they have a loved one who's dealing with addiction.
Yeah, well, I noticed since I've had my practice open, I've noticed that I'd say 80 to almost 90% of my clients start with the family, because families are in pain. Mm-hmm. Families are struggling. Families don't know how to deal with their loved one that's going through addiction. They don't know where to send them for help. They don't know how to help, and they don't know how to help themselves because there's no resources for the family. So it kind of inspired me to try to create something to be able to really help them, because right now a lot of my coaching is done with families, whether it's before an intervention or before I take on their loved one as a client. I want to make sure that the family system is healthy, that will help me do my job with the client, with the person that's going through the addiction. Right. So that's one of the big focuses that I have is families, and that's also why I created that 5-week online coaching for families. So now there is a resource, and there will be, it's not up and running yet, but a Facebook group for people that will take that online course, for them to be able to support each other. And because I know with my parents, when I was in rehab and afterwards in recovery, they had so many questions, and nobody to answer them. They had pain and nobody to help them. So I just want to try to help people not have to go through that and have resources.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important to have a community and support, and to know that you're not alone, and that there are others out there who have experienced similar struggles and might have ideas and tips, on how you might be able to manage it as well.
Yes.
Just great. Do you have any lessons you learned early on in your coaching practice that maybe impacts how you approach your business today? I know, like you're just saying, that was eye-opening to me, to know that 80 to 90% of how you end up with clients is basically through the family, not the individual looking for the help.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's all coaches' reality. It's just mine in my demographic right now. But
right.
Can you repeat that question?
Oh, you have a lesson that you learned early on that, maybe impacts how you approach your business today.
Yes. I think the biggest lesson is the open mind. To have an open mind. The worst thing you could have in coaching or therapy or when helping people is rigid thinking. Mm-hmm. Rigid thinking causes more harm than does good. So I try not to bring my beliefs onto other people. I try to have an open mind and have knowledge on various ways to approach recovery. That way, if somebody comes to see me and this person is interested in the 12 steps, well, I could refer them to 12-step meetings. I could help guide them through that and so on. If somebody comes to see me and they want nothing to do with the 12 steps or religion or anything like that, then I could also help them with that, because I don't have a preference. My preference is whatever helps the person, whatever will help that person attain their objective, their goals, not goals that I put on them, not goals that I think they should achieve, not reach somewhere I think they should be reaching. It's all about what they want, and I just help guide them on how to get there, or different modalities, or sometimes help them shift their perception on something to allow them to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that totally makes sense. You just mentioned 12 steps, and I realized that your book is, doesn't really even talk about the 12 steps. Like it's something I think that most of our culture has assumed as kind of a path to recovery. And what you're presenting is more of a well-rounded, holistic approach to creating a new lifestyle. And like you said, if 12 steps resonate with people, you'll help them connect with that, but that's not the focus.
No, I agree. And it's like I said, I don't prefer any path, if 12 steps can be part of somebody's lifestyle, recovery lifestyle, and that's great. But 8-step recovery could be part of their lifestyle. There's other types of recovery models that anybody could use, so that I don't prefer one over the other. I have some clients that I refer them to yoga groups, because for them, they don't want to do 12 steps or 8 steps or any kind of step meetings, but it's important to have community. Community is very important. And that's one of the very important things about the 12-step program is they create great communities, so it's just being an open mind and thinking outside the box. Where else can I create community?
Right.
Yogis, amazing community. It's all about peace and love. And why not? That's an amazing place to go for your recovery, or meditation groups, or art groups, or, there's so many groups that exist now that you could be part of a community that are like-minded as you, of things that you like.
Right. Or, like you pointed out in your book too, finding hobbies. Like sometimes you can find something new that maybe you've never tried before or were curious about. And all you have to do is just look in your local community or look on Facebook, I suppose, and you can find a group and go to a meeting and try something new.
I agree. For me, that was a big part of my recovery, is when I stumbled upon an app called Meetup.
Mm-hmm. And
it's any kind of hobby that you could think of. There's a group for it, So it is. I was in Toronto, which is not where I grew up. I was new there, didn't know people, didn't know anybody. That could be very draining or hard for somebody that's newly in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, finding that and being able to find groups that were of interest to me was very important for my recovery. It allowed me to start socializing again with people. It allowed me to get out of my little bubble.
Yeah. And I even know someone who started their own group in Meetup, and it was just a women in recovery who wanted to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Something like that, it ended up being like 5 women. That was the whole group, but they would get together every week and go for a walk, and then, gives them a chance to talk and walk, get their exercise, and
that's right. Keeps you accountable to do something on a weekly basis, get out of the house, do some exercise, move, meet people, talk to people.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. So it's not just finding groups. You could start your own.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, hey, how can more people find out about the book and what you have going on with your coaching, and even just starting a conversation where maybe they have some questions and you can help direct them to some resources.
All right. Well, there will be a website. It's not live yet. It's therecoverylifestyle.ca. So all the information is going to be on there shortly, but right now it's not live. So until then, they could always go on my Facebook page, my business Facebook page called Hope Recovery Coaching, or on my website, which is www.nevergiveuphope.ca.
All right.
So those are two ways that you could get information.
Awesome. And we'll have all the links in our show notes, but if someone's listening, they can search for that and find it. And any last words of wisdom, especially for families who might be looking and have questions about what it's like to work with a coach, because that might be something new for people, a recovery coach.
Right. Well, working with a coach, the nice thing about working with a coach, and I could only speak for myself, but it's availability. It's not like a 9 to 5 all the time. Like, I'm available when my client needs me to be available most of the time. It's also meeting clients where they're at. I'm not going to force a client to be somewhere they're not ready to be. If the client has been sober for a day, and that's fine. If they've been sober for 20 years, that's fine. If they don't want to be sober, they just want to do harm management, that's fine. There's no preset rule that says this is necessary in order to work with me as a coach. It's the conversation is easy. You could ask anything, and that person is there to help and guide you. If I don't have the answers, I'll say I'm not quite sure right now, but I'll find that answer for you. It's really connecting with somebody that has knowledge and experience, and that could help you navigate the industry, navigate recovery, navigate addictions. I often say sometimes I'm a matchmaker for right. people that are looking for rehabs, because one of the biggest mistakes is people don't go to the right rehab for them. So I try to help them figure out, okay, what are things that are important for you in life? What are your goals? Where did you ever go to rehab? What kind of rehab did you go to? What techniques did they use? Do you have any hobbies? And I try to find a rehab that will fit that person better, so that person has certain comfort walking into that rehab. It makes it easier to go find that trauma, because in rehab you're going to be vulnerable, and you want to be in a place that you feel safe. So there's a lot that a coach could do, and the only way to know is to try it and experience it for yourself.
Yeah, it's like you're a very experienced guide helping someone navigate this world of addiction recovery, which can be overwhelming and confusing, I think,
I agree.
For not just the individuals in recovery, but for their families as well. So I really appreciate what you're doing, Andre. It's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, thanks again, Andre. It's been great chatting with you. Everyone, if you need more information or want to get in touch with Andre, check the links and check out the book. It's a good one. It's got a lot in there that we didn't even get to talk about. So. Okay. Thanks again.
James.
All right. Yep.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.